Hey everybody, you're with Beekeeping with Rich, and today you're in the laboratory of Dr. von Richenstein, mad scientist extraordinaire. We're going to talk about propolis tincture, propolis sludge, propolis ointments. We're going to talk about propolis. It is such a big topic and such a big subject, one hardly knows where to start. I did a video on preparation of my propolis sludge that I use for coating all my beekeeping equipment, and told you then, like I'm going to tell you now, that propolis tincture is almost a byproduct of making sludge as far as I'm concerned. And my other video, as I say, focused on that, but they tie in together so much it's kind of hard not to talk about them at the same time. So I make propolis tincture by gathering up some propolis. This is the scrapings from 2 supers. And depending upon whether I want medicinal or whether, oh, that's not medicinal, this is medicinal. Whether I want medicinal or whether I want external. If I want external, which is all I need for making my sludge, I use 91% isopropyl alcohol. I don't use 70%. Very little propolis dissolves in water, so the higher your alcohol content, the better. And that's all I do. You put that in there like that. You give it a shake. You walk by it every day and you give it a shake. You do that for a week or two until it doesn't get any darker. It's going to be getting darker and darker, but then it doesn't get any darker. At that point, this will be broken down somewhat. It'll be on the bottom. You'll have a clear extract on top. You pour that extract off into a jar. You refill the container with alcohol again. The second time you do it, you're going to get it up to the same color and same strength, but it's going to take half the time because it's already been broken down somewhat. And you pour that off into the jar. And when you fill it a third time, you can shake and shake and shake, and you can leave it a month, but you're never going to get that same dark color that you got the first 2 times, whatever that color was. When I say dark color, I don't mean black like that. I just mean as deep a color as it's going to get, because the color of it's going to depend on what they're bringing in the way of rosins at that particular point in the summer. So at that point, you've got some broken down sludge. I drew the alcohol off of this. That's just broken down sludge. And that, once you mix it with a little bit of rubbing alcohol, like I say, I took the alcohol a bit out of that so that I could do this demo, put a little bit of alcohol back in. Oh, by the way, there's a little tip. Best tool in the world for working with all this stuff is a stainless steel chopstick. Whether you're stirring wax in a pan or you're doing something with this, the nice thing about a stainless steel chopstick is that it very quickly can be cleaned off. Just zip, no problem. So now stir a little bit of alcohol into that sludge. No, mostly, as you can see here, you normally have it set up so that you have a cap of alcohol on top of the sludge. Anywho, then you just take a brush, and oh, by the way, as stiff and hard as this brush may seem to be, as soon as you put it in the alcohol, it turns soft again. So unlike latex paint or oil-based paint or anything else, you can just keep reusing the whole same brush and you don't even have to clean it in between. So,
and explain what that does.
Well, I'm coating the interior of this special frame with propolis. It's going to dry. It's coated. It's put a coating of propolis, and the bees will come and clean this up some. They won't leave it looking quite like this, but it saves them an awful lot of effort in getting their home the way they like it. This just happens to be one piece I never bothered with because it's a very temporary piece on a hive. It's part of a queen rearing system. At any rate, that's all we're really going to say about propolis sludge, because I did another video on propolis sludge. But as you can see, you have a little bit like this. You pour it in the bottom, then you just keep adding to, as it breaks down, you keep adding to it, adding to it, adding to it. Okay, we're good with that part of it here. This video was prompted by a conversation I was having with a couple of other members of the Bee Club a week or so ago. They're originally from Germany, and the lady was saying that her sister, still in Germany, makes a propolis tincture to use to make a salve that she uses for arthritis. And I went, oh, boop, arthritis? Okay, tell me all about this. She says, oh, I don't remember a lot about it. I'll ask my sister next time we talk to her. So she talked to her sister, and her sister said that she makes this salve out of cocoa butter, lanolin, and propolis tincture. And the reason this is so interesting to me is that it never occurred to me to use the propolis tincture in making a salve or anything. If you go online everywhere, you're going to see people telling you to take this chunk of propolis, put it in the freezer, take it out, smash it up, grind it in a mortar and pestle, usually also put in the freezer ahead of time, or put it in a herb grinder or whatever, grind this down to nothing, put it in an oil base, say coconut oil or whatever, sprinkle all the finely broken up pieces in there, and stir, 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 simmer, 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 simmer. One woman online takes this big chunk of processed propolis, puts it in a pan, heats it up in the pan till it softens, puts olive oil on top of that, and stir, stir, stirs, and the thing stays right on the bottom of the pan. You can see it right through the oil, but some of it infuses up into it. These are the things you found more commonly, and it's like, I really like this idea, if it works, of using the tincture, because it's already completely in a suspended form. Because the next step for all these other methods is cheesecloth or fine filters, coffee filters, whatever, strain, 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 strain to get all the particles out. Well, you've already got something that's perfectly clear and doesn't have any particles in it here. What little bit of particle is in here is in the very bottom. And so it's like, all right. So I went out last week and I got this stuff. I got lanolin oil, $8 or $9 for 4 ounces. And I got this cocoa butter, which is really solid at room temperature. And that's $16 for 8 ounces of it. I have since found out that straight up lanolin is more of a chunky material than this. It's not liquid like this is, and it's much less expensive. And I also found sources for big chunks of cocoa butter, which I could get a pound for what I paid for this, for the 8 ounces here. Regardless, doesn't matter in this instance. But at any rate, I made this up. Heated these two materials together, put in the propolis tincture. I put my hand on this one, and that's another story. I put in the propolis tincture. I stirred it all together, waited until I stopped smelling alcohol coming off, and then let it cool. And I had a liniment. I had a liquid, not a salve as Heidi had said there would be. And so I called her up and said, was that a liquid or a hard salve? And she says, well, it was a hard salve. But then when I told her about what I had done, she says, well, the lanolin that we use is a solid, not a liquid like this. So that probably was the difference there. All right. So I heated it back up, threw in a little bit of beeswax, and came up with this wonderful, wonderful salve right here.
I can see it.
Yeah. Wonderful salve. Good consistency. Yeah. Want it out of the way, dear. Well, I will mostly be using this. They said it was for arthritis. Now, I did a bunch of research. Lanolin, it does a very good job of carrying essential oils and things into the skin. Much better than, say, coconut oil does. And it has a much longer shelf life. But, okay, so, and I'd always heard lanolin has a long reputation for use in arthritis. Well, apparently its long reputation for use in arthritis is that it is the best carrier for getting things like arnica and some of the other herbal extracts into the skin. It isn't in and of itself. So I looked at the research about arthritis and propolis tinctures, and everything I found basically is for the internal use of it. You use propolis tinctures made with rubbing alcohol, or not rubbing alcohol, I'm sorry, I meant to say with medicinal alcohol, and you take, so many drops, say 8 drops in 4 ounces of water twice a day, this sort of thing, and it apparently does a great deal to jack up your immune system and turn on various processes in the body and such, and all that has a beneficial effect on the arthritis. So I'm not quite sure where the rubbing this in over my joints is going to be of any real use. But that's not the point here. The main takeaway on this video is that I watched all this material and read all this material. People are grinding this and grinding that. It is so much easier to make a cold extraction of alcohol, pour it into your oil mixture, just wait for the alcohol to heat off of it, and it gives you a beautiful end product. That is the main takeaway on this video. Yesterday I went ahead and made some up with coconut oil. Again, beautiful. And again, I just put the alcohol in there, and I put the alcohol extract in there. The alcohol boiled off, and it's just a wonderful propolis smell. So here you have a good healing ointment for any kind of skin abrasions, cuts, or anything like that. Now, to the main thing about this video, other than the fact that you can use a propolis tincture in making a salve, is this is a super concentrated version. What I just described to you was doing this. You can see it's already starting to come up. Extract it, pour it into these jars. Well, I got like 20 of these jars, and I had an idea one day. And that idea was, I took a saucepan. We have a warming station at the back of our stove that keeps a temperature of 125 degrees. I put this 3-quart saucepan on that warming station. I poured in 2 bottles of this regular extract. Whole house smelled like rubbing alcohol. But as it went down, I added another bottle, and I added another bottle, and I added another bottle. What's in this bottle is 7 of these bottles evaporated down into one. I evaporated down. It's like, gee, I wonder how far I can take this. Well, the answer was quite clear. I took it down to where on the sides I started seeing crystallization, the supersaturated solution. Basically, I took this to supersaturation, poured it into a bottle, and as you can see, it likes to crystallize on the edges, but it was doing the same thing in the saucepan. So it told me when to stop with no problem at all. And that is what I used to make the salve that I was told about. To make the coconut, I just used some single use, and the propolis smells wonderful. Even in this, it completely saturates it. So either way you want to do it, 7 times, or make it 3 times, or 1 time, or if you want to make it 1 time, it still makes a great coconut oil based salve, i.e. it also would be a great olive oil based salve or anything else you want to use. Main takeaway on this whole video is that rather than doing all this grinding and the mechanical work and heating of a few minutes and whatever you can get an extract from that, you can make a strong extract from a cold alcohol extraction here and get a super clean, wonderfully saturated product. Works beautifully. Let me see if there's anything here I haven't thought about so far. Oh, grain alcohol, if you're going to make medicinal, all right, so you can use grain alcohol, Everclear, whatever, something that's up in the 92-94% range, or you can use vodka. I do not recommend vodka because, again, very little of the components of propolis are water extractive, and vodka is half water. So you're not going to get anything as strong. And for our purposes here, what I just described to you, well, there's going to be an awful lot of water left behind because you're not bringing this stuff up past 212 degrees. So don't take what I'm telling you here, go out and get vodka, and then make a soupy ointment that you're totally dissatisfied with. If you're going to make these ointments, do it with Everclear or strong, well, rubbing alcohol as well. And oh, look, I was in an Ace Hardware one day and I was looking for something else entirely different. And look what I found. Now it's $40 for this gallon because this basically can be a gasoline additive or a fuel as well. But 99% pure rubbing alcohol. So you can get really crazy with this if you want. But more is better in terms of your alcohol content. Stay away from water as much as possible. I don't think you could really do an extract like this using 70% rubbing alcohol. You've got to either be up around the 91 or 94% rate, or you've got to be high octane with your medicinal alcohols as well. So just another tip to throw out there. You've made up your oil base. You've put your tincture in there. The alcohol's gone off. It's time to put the beeswax in there and to make it into a salve rather than a liquid. And you're stirring and you're stirring and you're wondering to yourself, have I put in enough beeswax? Have I put in too much beeswax? Is this going to be too hard? Is this going to be too soft? Is it what I want? Well, that's a real simple fix on that. You take a plate, a dinner plate, at room temperature. You take a few drops of your salve that's heating on the stove. You plop it on that plate. You wait about 30 seconds or so. It hardens. You push on it. If it's too hard, then you need to add a little bit more oil. If it's a little squishier than you want and it's, as cool as the plate, well, then you need to add a little bit more beeswax. It's not a formula, it's not baking, and it's not rocket science. You make your salve to whatever level you want. I added beeswax twice before I got where I wanted on this, which was a nice firm salve that comes off on your finger quite nicely. Let's see if I missed anything else here. Nope. Main thing is, this is a terrific method for making a propolis infused tincture. It's clean. It's going to be very thoroughly mixed. Less effort because I don't consider walking by this once a day and shaking it as making as much in the way of any effort. So there you go. Propolis sludge to use on the insides of your frames. Propolis tincture to use either medicinally, interior ways. Oh, by the way, if anybody who thinks that propolis isn't really bee glue, I had all these jars in a box and apparently I'd spilled a little bit of propolis somewhere along the line, and I was pulling the jars out, or the bottles out, to pull a bunch of these for that, and I grabbed this one, lifted it up, and it came out like that.
Those are glass.
Yeah, these are glass bottles. These aren't lightweight plastic bottles. These are rather heavyweight glass bottles. I mean, yeah, it breaks off, but yeah, this is bee glue. So I just thought that was fun. So let's wrap this up. This has been Rich, or Dr. Von Richenstein, with Beekeeping with Rich. Hey, like and subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.